directly to the customers. In looking at this, the current status of the Cogma supply chain involves shipping from the factory locations to the Fed warehouse and then shipping from there to the customer assembly plants. One alternative is to get rid of the Fed warehouse and ship directly from the factory locations to the customer assembly plants. For each of these legs, they have three options, including full trailer load, less than trailer load, or daily just-in-time shipments. In looking at these options, we came up with 6 that were viable alternatives for Cogma to use. We calculated the total annual cost of each option and came up with option number 5 as the highest cost. This involves optimal quantity shipments from the factories to the plants and no CDC at FedEx. To describe how we made these calculations for option number 5, you can see that we used an optimal number of units per trailer load. We estimated transportation costs of $1.43 per mile, and we came up with a total shipping cost of $369,754. Then we also included holding costs with an average inventory of 1,252 units per day, for a total annual cost of $2,740,694. However, we realized that those calculations were based only on a point estimate of 260 cars per day and $1.43 per mile for transportation costs, so we also needed to do sensitivity analysis. Looking at sensitivity to production level, we can see that there's a change at 331 to 332 cars per day. So at their current level, option 5 remains viable. However, at 332 cars per day, option 6 becomes the better option. Looking also at transportation costs, the intersection is at $1.12 to $1.13 per mile, and option 5 is better moving into the future, so that is good for us. So based on the analysis of the current situation, as well as what we consider to be the future trends for Cogma, we'd like to close the Fed warehouse and make LTL shipments on a cost-optimized basis directly from the factories to the assembly plants. However, we also realize that Cogma must continue to evaluate the demand forecast and transportation costs as they move forward, so that they can respond effectively and rationally to market trends and conditions. Now, Brad will talk about effective purchasing.
We evaluated our purchasing decision on a per container basis or 100 tons. We first looked at the total importation expense as far as transportation was concerned at $16,005. We then incorporated the holding cost of $25,000 to give us a $41,005 total importation cost. That's per container. So you can see at the $300 steel price how Cogma stands to save $26,000, $26,005 per container when they're purchasing steel domestically. Now, at their current level of consumption, that means that they're going to save about $67,000 per month. Now, we also calculated a break-even point with these calculations. That leaves us with $820.10 for a break-even point when there's no discount. But we started looking at the situation with the fuel prices and decided that perhaps we should also evaluate what happened if fuel prices fluctuate, and if Cogma could renegotiate the fuel savings based on those changes. We know we needed to have a decision matrix, so this is what we've come up with. It shows purchases for importation above the line and purchases domestically below the line. You can see at 0% discount, the break-even point of $820 that I mentioned earlier. Now, at the current steel price of $300, it would mean that we'd need a 63% discount on the importation cost in order to be indifferent between importing steel and purchasing domestically. Since most of the importation costs are holding costs, it seems impractical to expect a 63% discount, so that further reinforces the decision to purchase steel at the $300 domestic rate. Some of the other issues that we had were also with the bulk purchasing situation. We were concerned with holding costs. We were concerned with the risk of obsolescence of materials, and of course the volatility of demand within the market. The other situation that Cogma itself is cash poor and risk averse. So at this time, we felt it was advisable to say that we should not purchase in the bulk programs just yet. If the situation changes where our cash situation improves, or if the market itself improves, we think we should reinvestigate this situation and perhaps consider bulk purchases.
Another issue we like to look at is serving export customers. And so for our export customers, should we continue to supply the current customers and hold the same price in the line to hold on to the customer? And in regards to that, we think that Congress should make every step possible to minimize risk of foreign currency contracts. Currency forecasting is not a core competency of Cogma, and currencies are volatile solution, we need to construct production facilities abroad. In order to accommodate the customer needs while ensuring an acceptable level of risk of power, they need to perform the currency hedging as we discussed, and include the currency hedging costs in the price of the product. Also, we need to consider the effects of Korean demand orders based on variable product costing. As far as producing in Asia, we think in the short term, they should not move production to Asia. It requires a major capital investment, and Kogma already has excess capacity. In the long term, we think that they should plan on adding production to Asia when conditions improve, specifically when their cash flows improve and when global automotive demand improves. And also, something to consider, will the federal government intervene to resolve the credit crunch soon? We think that the timeline and impact of this intervention is uncertain, and Congress should develop action plans to react immediately if the markets improve, but in the meantime, we should consider developing customers in other markets. Also, should Congress' free cash flows be used to increase capacity to offer customers faster turnaround? In this case, we say no. The surplus cash should be used to increase demand, to use excess capacity that we currently have. We should focus on developing customers in other industries or offering favorable terms to gain new customers. While we're doing this, the first priority should be to maintain a healthy financial position to capitalize on opportunities as they present themselves.
Okay. Now I'd like to quickly recap our recommendations. To optimize our supply chain, we suggest that we should close FedEx warehouse and use LTL shipments. To achieve effective purchasing, we suggest Kogma should purchase steel domestically if steel prices are below $822 per ton. And also, Kogma should avoid purchase of discounted bulk supplies. To optimize export opportunities, we suggest Kogma should accept orders with risk mitigation premiums. And all these strategies are designed to maintain favorable financial positions and provide guidelines for future decision making. It will also help to position Kogma for market recovery and ensure no backsliding on long-term goals. And that's all we have for our presentation, and thank you very much, and now we're open to questions.
Talk about optimizing your CDC warehouse by closing and shipping direct. How do you propose to get the customer to agree to your optimized transportation costs when they're wanting their quantities more in their inventories? And how do you propose to offset their extra costs of having to do the kits themselves by shipping direct?
Of having to do kits themselves,
When they kit their, right now we're kitting from the CDC, correct?
we were not aware of kitting through the CDC. Oh, right. So they would receive their goods still on a regular basis. And as far as the kitting goes, I would imagine that Cosmo can put a facility inside the customer warehouse to assemble all the kits if they needed it in sets of 4, like you said.
Especially the added capital costs as a result of closing warehouses and shipping direct.
There was a $20,000 reduction in cost for closing the warehouse. We did not anticipate any added capital costs for closing the warehouse. However, those could be included if they did need to put the 4 items together in the warehouse, in the customer facilities.
being from Michigan, we're probably closest to the global automotive crisis, so it's really exciting to work in this case here. Getting to our agenda here, we're here to talk about the executive summary. Where are we today? Going through the different alternatives that we actually considered, and how are we going to get there with our implementation? Our executive summary, we looked at three different opportunities here. One, the supply chain growth. We believe that we have opportunity here to improve the supply chain efficiency and gain and have GIT deliveries from both suppliers and customers, which will give us a 5-year net present value of $11.3 million. Effective purchasing, we think we can leverage our OEM buying power, and this would give us, and get lower steel prices, which would give us a 5-year net present value of $649,000. And with managing export opportunities, we believe that we need to be coherent with our supply chain growth, which is being close to our OEMs. And our strategy would actually give us provide a natural currency hedge. Our current situation, where are we today? Our industrial environment, it's a rough environment. We have the lowering demand in the automotive OEMs. We have credit crunch. We have a slowdown in the export market. But there is some opportunity with some suppliers where we can renegotiate some contracts to get better pricing. Our core competence, we believe, is high quality and reliability through data analysis. For our supply chain flow, we reviewed 4 different alternatives. First alternative is where we are today, status quo. Second alternative is vendor managed inventory, and which would basically, we would manage our inventory at our OEM location with some contracts. And which would be less weekend deliveries and full truckload deliveries. Eliminate CDC, which would be JIT deliveries from each of our individual plants to the OEMs. And final alternative, which is consolidate manufacturing and JIT deliveries from both supplier and customer. And now I invite Sinar to go over our strategy.
Thanks, Tom. So here is our visual representation of the current and future operations of Pharma. And in the current map, we can see a lot of opportunities for lowering incurred costs. And in our future strategy, we have a centralized manufacturing industry in Vienna, and we have thus reduced complexity and reduced cost of the supply chain. So we looked at the alternatives for deliveries from suppliers. The current situation is purchasing from China with long lead times, and this adds extra risk due to transit, and we have high inventory holding costs. When we look at the option of buying in bulk, we see that we have an advantage of bulk discount, but this is also very risky due to uncertain market demand and high inventory holding costs. So we recommend just-in-time deliveries from suppliers, which has low risk, increased quality, and 5-year NPV of $365,000. Next, we evaluated all the alternatives according to pros and cons and net impact, and we recommend alternative 4, which is consolidating manufacturing and just-in-time deliveries, which gives us higher profit, medium risk, and an NPV of $11.3 million, which is the highest NPV among all possible alternatives. Next, we look at the effective purchasing strategies, and we evaluated 3 different alternatives for this scenario. And the alternatives are, the first one is continuing to buy direct from Chinese manufacturers. And the second alternative is switching back to local suppliers and renegotiate contracts with U.S. suppliers. And the third alternative is leveraging purchasing power of OEMs while locally purchasing steel. So now I hand it over to Greg.
Thank you. Thank you for taking us through those options. I'll now discuss the strategy that we selected and the reasons why. We selected leveraging the purchasing power of the OEM with locally sourced our steel production. And the reasons are is that by locally sourcing, this gets us out of the currency risk that we currently have by sourcing from China. It also has a mutual benefit to both us and our OEM it also provides us with a low cost in both good times and in bad, because we'll take advantage of the high buying discount of the OEM. This does reduce the information asymmetry between the OEM and us, but we believe that can be mitigated by negotiating a contract that's mutually beneficial to both of us. Our net present value calculated is $649,000 for this option. This summarizes the cost analysis that we've completed for the different cost structures: purchasing costs, transportation, holding costs, and CDC costs. And again, this kind of reinforces our strategy. We selected consolidated manufacturing, which has the lowest cost structure, and we also selected leveraging the OEM buying power. And then overall, NPV is $11.6 million.
discuss the export opportunities. We have 4 alternatives. One is to maintain our current strategy, which is exporting directly to Korea. Second is to withdraw and serve U.S. OEMs only. Our third is to license manufacturing to the country in which we're doing business with OEMs. And our fourth is to directly manufacture in that country. We selected alternative 3, which is to license our product to the country in which we are supporting the OEM. The reasons for doing this is this provides a natural currency hedge. It also minimizes logistical costs. There is a risk that to our brand and also to intellectual property, but we believe through careful selection of both the country that we're doing with, currently Korea, and also by selecting a supplier that has similar high quality performance as us, we would mitigate this risk. Most importantly, this is consistent with our coherent manufacturing supply chain strategy of locating close to our OEMs. Now there is a possibility that we can migrate to alternative 4, but right now PAGMA doesn't have the expertise for dealing in an international market, all the complexities, the cultural differences, the regulatory aspects. So we believe over time, down the road, they could mitigate to alternative 4 if there's opportunities there. But right now they need to stick with simply licensing. Now I'll cover the risk assessment and mitigation of some of our different alternatives. When we consolidate manufacturing in Chesterfield, it's more susceptible to natural disasters, a tornado, etc. There's no real easy way to mitigate this other than just simply buying insurance, which is what we would do. For just in time, we have risk due to weather disruptions. This is mitigated by us being located within 500 miles of the current OEMs, and also we would select our suppliers close to us because we're doing just in time on that side too. Again, sourcing locally, not to China. And again, I've already covered the OEM risk and mitigations for both precision steel and for export opportunities. I'll now hand it over to Sangeeta to go over our implementation plan.
We believe that to implement all these strategies successfully, communication is key. Mr. Twinkle needs to communicate the benefits that can be derived from implementing these strategies across the functional areas of the business. And I just want to take you through our implementation plan. We believe that consolidating production at the Chester location and implementing JIT at the supplier locations will take about 6 months. To renegotiate contracts with the OEMs and the suppliers to get better steel prices will take about 3 months. And starting production at the Korean supplier will take about 2 months. In terms of uncertain economic conditions, it's easy to lose sight of the long term. We believe that COGMA should be vigilant of this and think about the long-term health of the business as opposed to just looking at the short-term benefits that can be derived. To do this and take advantage of the opportunities that arise during these situations, COGMA should look at expanding into new export markets. They should also look at diversifying their customer base from the automotive sector. And they have a really unique core competence of high-quality manufacturing and reliability through data analysis. And this is a skill that can be translated to a wide variety of industries that use high-quality steel manufacturing parts. All the cash savings that we generate by implementing all the recommended strategies can be used to investigate these options. In conclusion, I just want to take you through the summary of our recommendations. We recommend that COGMA shut down the 3 plants and the CBC, consolidate all component manufacturing at the Chester, Indiana plant, ship less than truckload daily to the assembly plants, and also implement JIT systems at the supplier locations. They should also leverage the purchasing power of the OEMs to negotiate better input prices. This will increase the total supply chain profit. COGMA should also maintain a coherent manufacturing and supply chain strategy, and we recommend that they manufacture close to their customers. Implementing all these strategies, we believe, will realize a 5-year NPV of $11.6 million and export and take advantage of the growth opportunities that we have. Thank you.
Now also looking at questions and answers.
Interested in the debate
basically, we allocated some costs, one of them is basically, hiring, retraining, and, relocation if necessary to help us with the knowledge loss. And then these plants are relatively, we've been producing around 400 parts sold, so they're relatively small size, so we estimated maybe 175 in closing costs and 50,000 for basically the distribution center. And then also expanding the Chesterfield plant we economy at $100 per square foot to handle the increased capacity. So in other words, there's a shift in the assets, but due to the size of the suppliers based on the volume, we believe it's relatively minimal. And since the significant cost is in the transportation, distribution, and the opportunity to consolidate, save money overall.
So this footprint is sized to our current needs. You mentioned under long-term strategy, we want to look to grow the business, the export markets, and the business. What happens when we do try to grow the business if we have no capacity?
Yeah, again, remember, we do not recommend exporting from U.S. to other markets. Basically, this exposes us to currency risk. It has high distribution costs. We recommend entering licensing agreements at first with countries that have strong intellectual property rights, and also, have supplier relationships with suppliers that are consistent with our quality reputation. So we don't recommend exporting from the U.S. We think it's risky